I think this is going to be a fairly short video, but first I'll have to confess up front what I'm doing here is I'm promoting a product. Now, I don't get anything for this. I'm doing this for a reason that I'll tell you about in a second. The product is this AM radio kit from Elenco, but what I'm really promoting is this whole idea of kits that you can assemble, electronic kits. Now, why am I promoting that? Well, frankly, I think we're seeing these disappear. I ordered this kit along with maybe a half dozen or so other kits from Elenco when I saw that they were disappearing. Apparently they stopped making most of these kits, maybe all of them. And so one of the things that this video is trying to do is to promote people buying electronic kits. Now, don't buy them just to be buying them, but if you have an interest in electronics, I suggest you might want to go out and snap up the remaining kits, because I'm not sure they're going to be around for very much longer. A second thing that I'm also going to promote in this video, and once again, I don't have any connection with any of these manufacturers, is the Analog Discovery 2 by Digilant. And as many of you may know from my other videos, I've promoted this in a number of videos, and once again, no connection with Digilant except as a customer. But at any rate, what I'm assembling here, I've put all of the parts in except I haven't yet inserted the IC. It's a little audio amplifier IC, nor have I wired up this ferrite bar antenna, which is what I'm going to be doing next. I got my soldering iron warming up over there. But so I'll be doing that and then testing this out, and then maybe be able to use the Analog Discovery 2 to show you how it works. Okay, what you see on the screen is the Analog Discovery attached to the audio output of the radio, and as I'm sure you can see and hear, the radio is over here. So let me turn the volume down to avoid assaulting you with both the noise and the news. And let's take a look at how this little Elenco kit works. The kit itself is actually made up of only two ICs. The first IC is called an MK484, and you see it right here. It looks like a transistor. It just has 3 leads. It's a complete AM receiver in a 3-pin IC package, and then over next to it here you see an LM386. And if you watched a few weeks ago, I did a video or two on the Elenco kit that uses these as headphone amplifiers. I won't review the LM386 here. We will talk a little bit about this IC, but basically the way this whole thing works is this ferrite antenna with the coil wound around it is both the oscillator coil and the pickup, that is the antenna for the radio. The oscillator coil is used by this little IC, this AM radio IC, the 484, and then the detected signal is fed over to the 386, where it, of course, it passes through the volume control on its way to the 386, and then over to the speaker. So let's take a look at sort of the block diagram. And here you see the 484 consists of an RF amplifier and an AM detector. And the RF amplifier works using this ferrite core with the tuning condenser. And the tuning condenser is under this knob right here. So basically the volume control also is the power switch, and then the tuning control. The RF amplifier then feeds the detector. The output of the detector is audio, and that feeds the LM386 audio amplifier to the speaker. So here is the actual schematic diagram. And let's talk just a little bit about the way it works. You'll notice that on the far right is the battery. It comes through the on-off switch and basically supplies this rail. Then through this resistor there are a couple of diodes to ground. These are 4148s, and they are to reduce this voltage down to a very low voltage. This IC, basically you supply the output with a current, and that's what operates the IC. So we'll take a look at this data sheet in a second, but basically here is how the circuit works. This is the ferrite antenna. Is basically these two coils, and then there's a tuning capacitor and a feedback resistor. This is the input, this is the output, and there are only three terminals: the input, output, and ground. And like I say, you basically supply both the input and the output with DC current. The DC current to the output is supplied directly through this resistor, and then 100K of bias is supplied over there to bias the input. This then produces an AM radio output here, which is then fed over through a capacitor to the volume control, and from there to the LM386. So let's take a look at this particular IC, and then we'll try to wrap all this up. This is the data sheet of the MK484 radio IC made by Rapid Electronics Limited. They're a British firm, and here you get some idea of the coil that's used, and they even give you a nice little PC layout here if you want to build your own. And then up here is the circuit, and you'll notice it's very similar to the circuit we just looked at. What Elenco has done is basically adopted the same circuit, the difference being that instead of using a single transistor here to drive a headphone, they're using an LM386 in the output. So it's a neat little IC. It's been around for ages. I think they first came out in the 70s, if I remember right. At any rate, the main reason that I made this video was to encourage people to consider buying and building some of these electronic kits, particularly since they appear to be disappearing. And as I've also said, to promote as well the use of the analog discovery. I realize the application we used here is pretty mundane, but nonetheless, it's a nice little instrument, and I've gotten a lot of fun out of using mine. I have two of these, the original analog discovery and this analog discovery 2. I also have the digital discovery, which I've reviewed elsewhere. So, if you're interested in building electronics, I have to tell you, these kits appear to be disappearing. So if you want to build some kits, now's the time to go out and get them, and hopefully you'll build them and maybe make a YouTube video or two. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires a few people to go out and buy and build some of these kits. But more important, I hope you'll stay tuned for some future videos in some other areas. In the meantime, have a nice day.